Hello, linguists. Welcome to another episode 46 for us. I am very excited for this guest. I'm honestly super nervous. And I'm sure that many of you are looking forward to this interview as well. So, welcome, Josh Goldsmith from Tech4Word.
It's a pleasure to be here, Pamela. Thank you very much.
You can
And hello to
imagine
everybody who's watching. There's no reason to be nervous. If anybody should be nervous, it's me.
No, you'll see. You'll see. So Josh is, along with Alexander, the founders for Tech4Word. This is a platform that started somewhere around 2012, would you say?
Well, that's a whole nother story. But the name Tech4Word dates back about 2 years. And the training, we started running training sessions in about 2015 together.
Okay, so Josh, for those of you who are not familiar with him, Josh is a UN and EU accredited translator and interpreting. And I'm so sorry. I've told you I'm nervous.
Don't worry about it.
Interpreter working from Spanish, French, Italian, and Catalan into English. He splits his time between interpreting, translating, and working as a trainer and researcher, focusing on the intersection between interpreting, technology, and education. And as a co-founder and Chief Educational Officer of Tech4Word, Josh shares tips about technology, translation, and interpreting in conferences and workshops, academic articles, and on Twitter. So again, I'm sure that many of you know who Josh and Alex are, and you follow them on Tech4Word. If you haven't, you must follow them on YouTube mainly, and they also have their website, which we will be sharing. Linguists, before we go on and start this awesome episode, I do want to ask you to please share where are you watching from. Leave any comments and questions that you may have for Josh today. So Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself. Why did you decide to become a translator in the first place? Or, I'm sorry, an interpreter.
Well, actually, I started out as a translator, so your question was spot on. I've always loved languages. I should start by saying that I'm from the US, from Florida, although I currently live in Switzerland, in Geneva. And so I've always loved languages. I've had a real passion for languages since I was young. I had no idea what translation or interpreting were growing up. I figured I'd be a language teacher. I actually was a language teacher. I have a degree in language teaching, and I worked as a language teacher for a while before I moved into translation and then interpreting. And translation was a happy coincidence, I think. My life brought me to Italy, but I was only going to be there for 4 or 5 months. My partner had a job at the university there, and I said, well, what can I do in only 4 or 5 months? It's not enough time to look for a job that's going to be here. So I said, but I have these language skills. I started out as a translator without much training, to be completely honest. Learned sort of on the job, translated for 4 or 5, maybe 6 years, and then decided to move into interpreting. I've always just been so into this the thrill, the exhilaration that comes from interpreting. And so I moved to Geneva, trained at the University of Geneva, the FTI, the Translation and Interpreting Faculty. And here I am 6, 7 years on now into my interpreting career.
That is so cool. It's very funny because many guests that we have had have shared with us that it kind of came also as a coincidence. They kind of stumble upon it, and then they found out that they love this world. This was their passion. I think it is because it is one of the most human traits, right? Communication. And if you happen to study it and understand it, and then you want to help people communicate, well, it's just, I think it's in everybody's blood, basically. But yeah, I'm sure you have to have also skills to do it, and I'm sure your skills are pretty high up there because you work in the UN, right?
I do. I'm a freelance interpreter, so I work freelance for the UN. I work for a variety of UN agencies based in Geneva. I also do some work on the private market, and I work a decent amount for the European Parliament as well. So, yes, it's pretty high level stuff, but
Yep.
it's a ton of fun. And I loved what you were saying about communicating. I think that that is essential. For me, communication is key. It's key to what I do as a teacher, it's key to what I do in my writing. And so I think maybe at the heart of everything, even before I was a translator or an interpreter, I was a communicator.
Yeah, that's very interesting, and we can dive into that as well. But we have so many things to go through that we're just gonna keep moving on. And so, for those of you who are not, of you linguists who are not too familiar with Josh, oh, something happened. Well, I'm sure that Josh is going to be back real soon. I think we just lost the connection there, but Josh, if you're, oh, there he is. Whoops.
I have no idea how I got kicked out. I coughed. I didn't
It's
hit the off button. Who knows? It's technology.
yeah, and it has happened before, so don't even worry about it. We are kind of on the go. Hello, Josh says Milagros Amaya. She's my co-national from Peru. Cool.
Hello, Milagro. It's nice to see you, and nice to see everyone who's here.
Yes.
So you had a question, but I'm sure I missed it. So
No. I saw you left, so I was holding it there. But for our followers who are not so familiar with technology and all that, I would like to ask you a little bit about the platform that you guys have, Tech4Word. What is it about? Why did you guys create it in the first place?
right. So Tech4Word is the company training outfit that I run with Alexander Drexel. Alex is a staff interpreter at the European Commission, but everything that he does for Tech4Word is in a personal capacity. So big disclaimer there. And Alex and I have known each other for many years. We're both total tech geeks, totally interested in all of the cutting edge stuff in technology. And so we both love teaching, and I think that that's what led us to start teaching in-person seminars. Actually, our first interest was using a tablet for interpreting purposes, and I think I might show you a few little things later on, some cool ways that you can use a tablet. And so that's what we bonded over at first. And then we realized that actually we had broad-ranging interests on pretty much everything related to technology, not only for interpreters, but also for all language professionals. And some of what we've covered is indeed for all language professionals. And Tech4Word is an online academy. We have a lot of courses, including free courses. We ran a huge webinar series, actually, starting at the beginning of the pandemic in March of 2020. We ran a webinar every week in a free webinar series, and it blossomed into something where we now have a webinar library with 20 webinars, an hour long each one, about all sorts of different tech-related topics. Maybe we'll talk about some of them later on. But it's not only that. We write a monthly blog. It's actually a column in the Toolbox Journal, which is about tech for translators primarily, but also for interpreters. And yeah, we have a YouTube channel. We're actually on YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. So you can find us in any of those places. Just look for Tech4Word. Again, there's a little play on words, right? At the end, it's an O for forward, not an A as in moving forward. And I think that that's the basic answer to your question. But yeah, it's a place where we get to be creative and we get to explore this cutting edge stuff with other people who are interested, be they absolute beginners or more experienced, more tech savvy people. And really, even if you're an absolute beginner, we have something there for you, I promise.
That's awesome, because that is one of the main reasons why I decided to invite you guys. I feel like in some states, we do have some niches, I'm going to say, that do have developed a lot in technology, especially in 2020, because circumstances asked for that. But I also have found out that that's not the case for the majority of interpreters here. And translators are, I think, for some odd reason, more up to date with technology because their job is way easier with it, and they know much about it. So that's why I wanted to invite you to share with us the technology that we need to learn to stay current, to find jobs, which is ultimately what most people would like. Obviously, most of our colleagues. So going into that, you just said that you have very basic information for absolute beginners. If someone goes to your website, where should they go first?
Good question. I think probably there are lots of different ways to discover our work, and it depends on if you like seeing videos or if you like reading more. If you're into videos, head straight to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/techforward, and start poking around, and you'll probably find a little video demo about something of interest to you there. Whether it's a basic one about how to set up speech recognition, which is really cool, cutting edge stuff we've got now. How you can, we have a little video there, for example, about using a tool called Otter.ai, which is a speech recognition tool to transcribe an entire conversation as it's happening. So that, I mean, there's tons of fun stuff on there. We have a video that's also been one of our most popular, which is we put together with the help of our TechForward community. It's a video called Audio and Video Secrets for Remote Meetings. And in this time when we have tons of remote meetings, when we're doing remote interpreting or not, when we're just in a meeting remotely, it's about how you can get good audio, good quality video there. And it's actually designed to be shared with your clients. Of course, you can take tips from it too, but it's for those clients who say, well, I don't know where to get started. And this is a 5-minute video to help them, and it's in 24 languages because we ran a subtitling challenge and people turned out from our community to help make this available in lots of languages. So if you're into video, that's a place where you could start. We also have some free courses that are video courses. We, as I mentioned, big tablet geek. And so you'll find we have an introductory course on tablets. We have actually 3 versions of it, one for iPad users, one for Android users, and one for Windows users. And I'm just going to read you the title. You know, I used to know this by heart, and it's been so long that I've forgotten the title, but it is called 5 Tried and Tested Tips to Boost Your Productivity. So if you're on an iPad, you can click through, you can find that right there. Now, I saw you just put up another link on the screen, which is to something in written format. It's a free mini guide called 5 Productivity Hacks for Translators and Interpreters. I think actually some of this stuff would make more sense if I actually show you my screen. So I'm going to do that as I speak. So here, for example, let's share the right one. Mm-hmm. All right, so here is our iPad's mini course. You can see it's got lots of little videos, and it's free, and it walks you through it, and it's got lots of exercises too, so you can engage with all of us as you're going along. And it's fun and interactive, and it walks you through learning a subject. Our other free courses, let's back up to show you the right one. Mm-hmm. Whoops. All right. Can't show you the right window. Here they are. So here's the Windows version, the Android version, and the iPad version I was just talking about. We have this Getting the Right Mix course, which is about getting the right blend of audio and video when you are trying to work in remote settings. Also completely free, and it talks about how you can use a mixer, how you can use software to try to hear yourself and your partner or their booth mate, who might not be in the same spot as you, probably not if you're working remotely, or how you can listen to the floor and your colleague at the same time. So this is some fun stuff. And now I'm going to show you our productivity hacks manual. Oops, I've got too many things open. Here it is. Right? And this one is a mini guide that will talk to you about 5 simple tips you can use, how you can use the apps you already have to work smarter and faster, how you can use text replacement. I'm going to make this a little bigger so you can see it better. Text replacement to save you a ton of time for the things you type all the time, like your email address, or if, in my case, Techforword links, I type them all the time. How you can use text-to-speech stuff to edit your work. Time tracking, a great tip for if you're invoicing, if you want to know how long you spend on a specific project. If you want to make sure you're not wasting your time, time tracking can be a great way to make the most of the time you have. And then some invoicing tips in there as well. So I've talked about lots of free stuff, but these are some options there. Now, we also mentioned the blog. Now, I've got too many things open, of course, so I'm not going to jump straight to it. Here it is. So here's our blog. And every month we publish a column about something different. So the most recent one was about how you can use the UN's digital repository. They have a really cool, really unknown repository of all of the meetings, basically, at the UN. In all of the languages with the interpretation. It's amazing. And you can use that to study with a free tool called Audacity. So that's just the most recent one that I've mentioned. And since we're talking about Audacity, I'll mention that Techforward is continuing our webinar series, and our next one is on Audacity, Audacity for interpreters, and it's this Thursday, so 2 days from now, at the exact same time when this session that we're having now took place, so 7 p.m. my time, 1 p.m. Eastern, and we'll be doing a hands-on thing, walking people through Audacity. And yeah, that's a lot of information to take in, but some fun ways to engage with our content.
I think it's perfect. You know what? Now that you mentioned Audacity, I actually have it here. So I would love to learn a little more about it and how we can use it for interpreting. That is interesting.
Well, come along. As you've seen, all of these little short links that Pamela is putting up on the screen use our little handy link shortener TFW for techforward.rocks because we thought that was fun. And so this one for the webinar to sign up is tfw.rocks/free webinar. Pretty obvious. But if you go looking for us on any of our social media channels, you'll find information there as well. And we'd love to see you there for that live session. And the cool thing is that I get to do this once a month, teach about something live with other people who want to geek out. But I mean, it's also going to be quite basic. We're going to talk about how you import audio. There's the link. Thank you. How you import audio, how you can record another track as you're practicing. You're interpreting the audios in Spanish, I record in English, and then how I can listen to both of them at the same time. And we're going to do all that in an hour and more. So come along on Thursday.
I have actually tried the repository because I think I took I think it was Andy Gillis courses, and he talked about it. So I went in there. But if you can do it with Audacity, I can see how much more advantage could I take from those for practice. So yeah, that's a really good tip. So for whoever is interested in improving and taking their interpreting to the next level, I think that they should. Go ahead.
It's absolutely essential, I was going to say, to record yourself and listen to yourself. That is the way that you improve when you're interpreting.
Okay, but so I'm going to tell you our very archaic way of doing it. And some of my study buddies are there watching us right now. So we just do it the plain old. The reason why I'm saying this is because I know technology would completely take it to a whole nother level and do this experience way more enjoyable as well. But we just take our cell phone, we download, a recording app, and then we listen to each other. But then we have to kind of figure out, well, wait a minute. If you're practicing simultaneous and everybody else, we're studying together on Zoom, So how do we get to do this? So we have to do certain things to accommodate all of us. You're saying that with Audacity, we can probably do that way smoother.
Audacity, definitely if you're working asynchronously. So if you record yourself and then maybe you send your file to your study buddy to listen along. And if you're looking for options for working synchronously, check out our Getting the Right Mix course. Again, that's a free mini course you'll find in our free courses. And that will give you the basics for how you can listen to your colleague at the same time. We've been busy over the last year. We've been putting out all sorts of materials.
You know what I'm hearing, Josh? I'm hearing that this is a great way for us who want to take the federal exam, which you probably know it's one of the hardest here, to practice it, pass it with blazing colors. So I think that this would be of advantage for anyone who is planning to take the federal exam.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I'm excited. Yeah, that's very cool. So wait, before that, so it was the webinar, free webinar that it's going to happen this Thursday at 7 p.m. Central European Time and noon here in Central Standard Time. And then the other one is the Getting the Right Mix,
which is one of our free mini courses. So if you just look for the free courses, tfw.rocks/free courses, you'll find your way there.
Perfect. Okay, let's do it, guys. Let's just go and take advantage of it. Thank you for doing that, guys. You have been very busy, but this is awesome. Talk to us about the summit that you had earlier this year on 2021. That was great. I enjoyed every single day. It was 3 days, and I enjoyed every single day of all the information that you guys shared. So tell us, how did it happen?
How did it happen?
I'm sure it was a lot to deal with, right?
It happened because I'm crazy, because it was a dream, a long-standing dream, to have a conference about interpreting technology. And we wanted to do something that would be accessible to everyone, and we wanted to do something that would really help people kick things up a notch and really take their interpreting to the next level. We know a lot of people were facing big tech challenges. This is the year when we've all had to sort out how to do our jobs online, and it hasn't been easy. So we decided that it was the perfect time to take this harebrained idea of ours and make it a reality. And that's what we did. And we put together a 3-day summit. It ran from February 23rd to 25th. It was called the Innovation in Interpreting Summit. So if you're looking for info, it's innovationininterpreting.com. And we brought together over 30 experts on all different aspects of interpreting technology. I think we'll talk about some of them later. For 3 days, the first day was all about remote interpreting, tips for when you're doing remote consecutive, tips for setting up your audio and videos so you look and sound good on camera, an introduction to remote, what it is and how to get started, a really cool panel with some amazing experts talking about remote. The second day was primarily about training and learning. So there were sessions about how you could use technology to help work on your rhetor, right? The language you work into that's not your native language. That was with our friend and colleague, Sophie Llewellyn-Smith. I talked a lot about terminology. We'll probably talk about terminology later because I can geek out about terminology for a long time, but all sorts of tips about how to use tech to streamline your preparation. And so that's what I talked about. There was a panel there too. The third day was about all of the most cutting edge stuff out there. So speech recognition, whether we'll have an artificial boothmate someday, using sim-consec or simultaneous consecutive, which is a hybrid modality of interpreting where you are recording yourself as you work, recording the speech as it comes in, rather. You can take notes or not, and then you work from that recording. And some research out there by Mark Orlando, who was our guest for the summit, shows that this can actually really boost your delivery, your performance as an interpreter. And we touched on all sorts of other stuff. Of course, there was a session on using tablets for interpreting. There were 4 amazing panels, one just for sign language interpreters. So we made sure everything was accessible too. That was really important for us. So there's captions and transcripts, and we had international sign interpreting and also live captions during the whole summit. And it was just amazing. And we had over 5,000 colleagues from all across the globe join us. We had a community going on where people could interact asynchronously. We had live things going on during the panels and a few other special events, and it was really darn cool. And yeah, and at your request, Pamela, actually.
I was just gonna ask.
Well, go ahead, ask.
Okay, so yes, let me set a preamble here. So, Josh, what if people didn't have the opportunity to take to attend the summit live? One thing that I do have to say is that since you guys are in Europe, I had to wake up super early to watch, most of the videos. But then I went ahead and bought the Power Pack, which is something that you guys offer for the summit. But then you stopped. You gave it for a X amount of time, and then you stopped. But you have some news for us, Josh.
I do. So the Power Pack had basically 12 months access to all of the videos, plus all sorts of other goodies, special bonus courses from the other speakers, and all sorts of fun materials. We threw in a copy of our tablet interpreting manual and a free month in our new membership community, which is called Tech4word Insiders. Maybe I'll talk about that later, maybe not, we'll see. And that was a special thing that was only available until about a week after the summit. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that is because we had all these special gifts that our speakers had thrown into it. But a lot of people have been asking whether it would be possible to get access to the replays. So we made it possible. And as of right now, you can find those replays, which are on sale at innovationinterpreting.com. So that's the 21 presentations, I think, the 4 panels. You get a podcast of all of them, so you can listen when you're on the go. You get all the transcripts, the captions, and a worksheet that accompanies each one of those. So because we didn't want it to just be about, all right, I go along, I listen, and I'm done. That's not the way learning works. And so I spent a long time, actually, creating worksheets to go with each of the presentations. So that you could take notes and also reflect on it and start implementing what you're learning. And I should say also, one thing that really mixed things up is usually these online conferences, the talks are half an hour or an hour long. We didn't want to do that. We told the speakers they had to keep their talks to 15 to 20 minutes. We did a lot of editing, actually pre-production, to cut the talks, which were too long, to make them really into something that you could easily walk away with a lot of information in bite-sized chunks, which is really what Tech4word's about, actually. Usually it's about bite-sized chunks and making information available. Anyways, tangent.
Yeah.
The summit replays, so not the Power Pack, but the replays are now available. They don't have those bonuses I was referring to, like our manual and stuff thrown in, because obviously those were donated by other people and there was a time limit on them. But all of those replays and the panels and the worksheets and everything I was talking about are available. And because the bonuses aren't there, we were able to drop the price as well. So instead of the Power Pack at 149 euros, the replays are available for 99 euros. So yeah, if you're interested, check it out. You may even be able to talk your professional association into giving you CPD credit, continuing professional development credit. It's 12 hours of content. You'll have to run it by them, of course, obviously, to get their confirmation that they'll accept it. But there's tons of great stuff in there. So I hope you're able to use it for CPD as well. We looked at getting it accredited in the US. It's real tricky. So we didn't manage to do it for this summit, but hopefully there'll be another one in the future.
I have to ask you that, and I don't want to forget. So I'm just going to go ahead and ask you right now, do you plan to do another one for 2022?
Well, I hope so.
Okay. Yeah,
Well, let's put it that way.
let's leave it at that. Yeah,
We'll leave
because
it at that.
I'm just going to say it was so full of information. I like technology. I'm not tech savvy. Does that make sense?
Of
You know,
course it
I
does.
really love to learn and to listen and to know what's out there. But at the time that comes to know how to manage things or how to deal with apps, I still have a long way to go. So once I attended the summit, I thought that I was, I don't know, it gave me more confidence. That's what I'm trying to say with technology. It wasn't so scary, which I think that's the thing with many of our interpreters. I don't know how things are in Europe, but at least here in the States, I feel like most interpreters and translators are maybe 35, 40 and up. And they're a little bit scared of technology. You know, it's like, I don't know, I don't want to look like a fool, probably. And so, what would you say to that?
First of all, I would say age is no barrier.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually, one of my many caps is as a researcher, and I've looked at the age factor in some of my research, and it's in your heads. It's not actually an issue. There are many early adopters who are 55, 60, and there are many late adopters who are in their 20s. So age should be no barrier. It's really more about willingness, interest, being willing to tackle it and dive right in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the crux of our sort of ideology of teaching is that it doesn't have to be complicated, but it can be overwhelming. So instead of trying to do everything all at once, the trick is to pick something that you want to learn about. All right, I would love to learn about the productivity hacks Josh was referring to a minute ago, or I'd love to learn how to start using my tablet for interpreting. All right, well, that's a really big topic, using your tablet for interpreting. It's about preparation. It's about using your tablet for consecutive note-taking. It's about using your tablet in simultaneous settings. It's about using your tablet for remote interpreting. It's about all of the other productivity things that come with using your tablet. There's a heck of a lot of stuff in there. So break it down smaller and say, okay, I want to use my tablet for preparation. It's a good start, but there's still a ton of things you can do there. All right, break it down again. I want to use my tablet for annotating a document for a meeting. And I hope I can do a demo of this in just a second and geek out about tablets, but let's break it down even more. Before I can even annotate my document, first I need to download the program, figure out what program I want to use. We have tables for that in our tablet interpreting manual, so you can figure out which ones are best. And then I need to figure out how I import the thing. All right, well done, you've imported it. Kudos, you are one more step along the way to mastering this stuff. And that's really my point here, is that just go stepwise, one piece at a time, and that is the path to success for technology. And we are totally against techno babble and geek speak at TechForward. We really try to say things in language that you will understand. Alex and I spend a lot of time editing each other's work and going, nope, too much jargon right here. That doesn't make sense.
Oh my gosh.
Spell that out in words people will understand, in clear, simple language. And so that's what we try to do. And the same applies to learning how to use a tool. So can we do a demo? Let's do a demo.
Yes, let's please.
All right. Let me get everything set up here.
It's very funny. Now, while you're setting that up, my husband is incredibly tech geek. I mean, the guy works in controls and all that. So when he starts talking to me about things, he loses me pretty quickly because it's all about all this jargon that you're talking about. So I love that you guys do use very clear language to explain it all. So here we go.
Here we go. So this is the document from the meeting I interpreted earlier today. Earlier today, I was working at the World Trade Organization here in Geneva for the trade policy review for the country of Vietnam. Now, a trade policy review is basically a review that happens every 4 or 5 years where they look at trade policy everything related to trade in the country. And this was Vietnam's, and I can share this document, even though it says restricted, because there was an embargo on it until 2 p.m. today. And as of 2 p.m. today, my time, not your time, this
Right.
document is now publicly available. So that's why I'm allowed to share it. I would never share something that I'm not allowed to share, but you can download this on the WTO's website. Now, I've imported this into a program called PDF Viewer, which is free. It's my favorite free option for the iPad. And you can see here that it's really easy to annotate. I've just clicked at the top of the screen, the little guy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in, click there, and I get a panel of different annotation tools popping up. And I'm just going to show you how easy it is. I'll take the first one, that's the highlighter, to highlight key terms. Trade policy review, trade policy review mechanism, trade policies and practices, right? It's that easy to highlight something. I can also tap right here and, I don't know, draw a star. You'll see my handwriting's pretty messy, or point to an important issue, etc. So you can annotate using, this is my Apple Pencil, but you can do it with other styluses as well. So this is a really simple thing you can do in terms of preparation. Even cooler, once you go to review what you've done, I've just gone up to the upper right-hand corner, second one in, that's the annotations, table of contents, lots of stuff in there, and I pick this one, and you can see, well, I've got some drawings. Okay, that's not very helpful, but I've also got a glossary, basically, that I've just pulled together with those 3 highlights. You can see trade policies and practices, trade policy review mechanism, trade policy review, and I could export those, and that's the beginning of my glossary too. I can also click on them to jump to that spot in the text. Even cooler, though, when you are working in this meeting, maybe you need to jump to a specific section, right? They reference a specific section of the document, right? They say under section 3.2 of your report, 3.2.5, where we're talking about export finance, insurance, and guarantees, and boom. Did you see that?
Yep.
I got there as quickly as the speaker. Now imagine if I had that on paper. This document is 185 pages long.
Yeah.
Yes, you could probably get there in 4 to 5 seconds. But doing this, I think, with a little bit of practice, you can get there even faster. So another amazing thing you can actually use in a well-formatted document, you can use this table of contents to quickly jump around. You can put in your own bookmarks to jump to specific sections. If they mention, I don't know, let's think of a key word that we want to type, right? Dualism was mentioned in one of the speeches that I had to interpret. It came up in Spanish. And I wanted to find the equivalent in English. They said dualismo or sistema dualístico. No, I'm not sure exactly what they said, but I just went here and I started typing dual, and I can see all of the places where it appears. And I was able to quickly just jump to this section of the document to find out more about this idea, which basically dualism, for those of you who are interested, I learned this, is that basically it's a combination of the state sector and the private sector working together. So that is just a brief overview of some, I think, rather easy things you can do with a tablet that help to facilitate your work when you are interpreting. And thank you for letting me geek out and show people.
That is awesome.
How that works.
Yes. Can you imagine? Nora is watching us. That's my dear friend and colleague. And can you imagine using this for all the other interpretations that we may come across to? So thank you for showing us that, Josh. And that is all in a tablet, in an iPad, and it can also be done in another tablet, like in an Android or Windows.
It can be done on an Android. It can be done on a Surface tablet. Absolutely, and obviously there are different programs for each one of them. So that's in our tablet interpreting manual. That's not a free course, but it is an inexpensive one. It's 19 euros for this manual. It's our very first ebook that we wrote. If you just search for tablet interpreting manual on the internet, you'll find it. Or if you take any one of the links to our website, you'll find it listed under courses. And maybe I'll just show you. I wasn't planning on showing you the tablet interpreting manual, but why not? I am very proud of this. I'll show you the page.
Yeah, and you, Larissa, you can go ahead and copy the link there, or just go to Techforward website, and you can find it there as well, along with all the courses and webinars that they offer.
Yeah, so I'm going to actually show you a very, very brief preview of the PDF. There it is. All right, so Tablet Interpreting Manual. It's an ebook, and this is what's in it. It's got 10 chapters, an introduction to tablet interpreting, so why you should use a tablet, how to get started, which tablet's best, and then we've got a chapter each on iPads, Androids, tablet, and Windows. We've got a whole chapter on accessories, so your keyboard, your stylus, your charger, who knows what else you've got. And then we dive into all the stuff I was talking about. So preparation, mind mapping, annotation, using a tablet for consec, using a tablet in the booth for simultaneous. And then this one's my favorite chapter about teaching interpreting using a tablet. So this was a really fun project. It was the first ebook. It's not the last one. We're working on one right now, which will hopefully be out next month. Yeah, you are almost the very first people to know, actually. It is called The Interpreter's Guide to Audio and Video. And we basically wanted to do the same thing, to walk people through the basics of audio and video so that they would know where to get started. Things like how to use a green screen, how to get your lighting right, which microphone to use. Should you use a headset microphone or a desktop microphone like you've got with a pair of headphones, right? I'm using a headset here. You've got a proper table mic and headphones. All the other gear that you might need for that, how to talk your clients, to coach your clients through getting you good sound, how to clean up bad sound when it comes in, and all sorts of other fun stuff. That's in our newest project that we're working on.
That's super exciting. I love that. I think that many of us can get a lot of information and a lot of benefit from that. And another thing that I just thought is, any of you that are involved with organizations in different states for interpreters and translators, tell them to go check out Tech4Word, because I know that many of us need some kind of instruction on this, and our members need to step up their game. You know that, and we know that. So go ahead and encourage your organizations to check out the Tech4Word website. So let's move on to someone that I wanted to talk about, was a guest that you have in your summit, and she was talking about the computer-assisted interpreting, or CAI, Miss Elizabeth Dazel, and she was talking about this technology that now exists for interpreters. You guys are really into this. It kind of ties along, I think, what Mark Orlando was also talking about. So tell us a little bit about the computer-assisted technology for interpreters.
You betcha. So just like translators have CAT tools, computer-assisted translation tools, interpreters have CAI tools. Now, it's not as cute because we don't get a cute animal that we get to make fun of, like the cat typing away at the computer and using technology. I'm not quite sure what a CAI is, but that's what we've got, computer-assisted interpreting tools. And that's anything related, what I was just showing you, for example, how you use a tablet or any piece of gear or any piece of software or hardware to do your job better. Now, in the summit, Elizabeth talked about tools that help you to work with vocabulary and glossaries. And I'm actually going to show you one of my favorites. It's not the same one she talked about in the summit, but it's a tool called Interpreter's Help, which is a glossary management and, to a lesser extent, terminology extraction tool. So here it is. I'll just make it a little bit bigger too. Maybe you have your glossaries on pieces of paper, just jotted down notes somewhere. Maybe you've got them in Microsoft Word or Excel, but that makes it really hard to find what you're looking for fast. Just like I said, it's impossible to flip through 185 pages to get where you're going. The same applies to your glossaries. But what if you could get to the terms you're looking for in just a few seconds? All right, I'm just going to, okay, here's an abbreviation. I would never remember what the ACWL is because there's just so much jargon. It's hard to keep track. But I type it in 4 letters, and I immediately see it. And if I'm working into Spanish, I could just read it, El Centro de Asesoría Legal en Asuntos de la OMC, right? Just like that. Now, trying to use your brain, right, when they're saying the Advisory Center on WTO law, and you're going, all right, was that the centro? Is it asesoría? Is it some other word? Is it jurídico? Is it legal? What have you, right? Literally all I had to do was have my glossary open, type 4 letters, and I could just read it out. Think how much easier that makes your job. If you can just type a few letters, even if I didn't get the whole thing, I only got the ACW, it's still going to get me there. Even actually, AC gets me most of the way there because it's gone from 111 terms to some smaller number. Now it's looking for anywhere AC is in any of the words. So, right, we've got accession, which has AC. It's not in Spanish at all here. But then, here it's down here in acuerdo. So we really need the 3rd letter to get there, but it's pretty darn cool.
Mm-hmm.
The same is the case if a word has an accent, right? You can see right here the word legislation. Well, that's not a good example. Let's find a good example. We'll go with adhesión, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oops, I forgot to type the A. It didn't even matter. It found it. I'm leaving out the O. You can see here how it found the one in plural, adhesiones, right, which doesn't have the accent. And the one here is still listed, adhesión, but it hasn't highlighted it because it's not exactly perfect. It's close, but not exact.
Mm-hmm.
So it can actually find, it's like fuzzy searches for translation tools. If you don't get it quite right, if there's a little bit of a typo or you've left out an accent, it can actually get you there. So much faster. Now, I suspect that this question from Larissa is, does it work with tablets? And the answer to your question is yes. You can use this on your tablet as well, because this tool that I'm showing you right here, Interpreter's Help, is web-based. So not all, well, pretty much all of the good glossary tools nowadays do work with your tablet. And if you're interested in learning tons more about glossaries, in our courses, you will find a whole course called Glossaries for Interpreters 2.0, which was actually the very first paid course that we built. It's one of our signature courses, so it's a little bit more expensive. It's 149 euros, if I'm not mistaken, but it'll really walk you through everything you need to know to get started with glossaries, from what I was showing you about terminology extraction manually, but also how to do it automatically. Maybe I'll take a quick moment to geek out and show you another tool that I love.
Yes, please.
This is called Sketch Engine, and concretely it's called the One-Click Term Extractor. Sketch Engine does all sorts of other stuff that's a little bit too complicated for most interpreters, like working with corpora and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But this particular tool, you upload a document. So I've already done it. It takes about a minute to process it. Depends how long your document is. And then you click Extract Terminology. And there are a few filters which don't really matter. And then it pulls up the terms that appear most frequently in your document. So this is amazing for preparation. It can really help you prepare very quickly, right? I can see like MOIT. What the heck is MOIT going to be? Well, I can click right here to see occurrences. Wait, let me just show you. So this was the main view, right? And this is a list of single word terms that popped up regularly.
Mm-hmm.
MOIT. I clicked on it and boom, the very first thing that showed up tells me that MOIT is the Ministry of Industry and Trade. Think about how much time that could save you when you're preparing, right? Let's just find another one. Well, Petro Vietnam. That could be quite important, actually. They start talking about the state petroleum, the state oil and gas company, right? ASEAN, which is the Asian Economic Development Network, and so on and so forth. And it's not just single word terms and all these lists of terminology and abbreviations I would never have known. It also is multiple ones, right? So they talk about, for the trade policy review, they talk about the 5-year period that's under review as the review period. Look, that's clearly the most frequently used term. So I can see it right there, and I could even click on it and see, wow, pretty much exclusively they say during the review period. So when I'm interpreting, I'm probably going to end up saying during the review period, right? This is cool also for figuring out the right verbs, right? Let's see what comes under environmental protection tax. Right. So there's no verb with this one. Here it is, applied, right? Was applied, collected, right? Yep. Applied. So those levied, right? A quick way to figure out the collocations is also using this amazing tool. So enough geeking out about this one. This one is called Sketch Engine's One-Click Terms. And yeah, I think it's pretty cool too. I'm glad to see Gloria and others saying that
They are
that's
loving
great
it.
as
Yes.
well.
Yeah, this is great. They are all loving it because it's a lot of things that we may not know about. I mean, you love this technology geeky things, and I do too, but honestly I don't find the time to do it. And so going to your website, going to your channel, or reading your blog and learning about these things is yeah, geek away, she says. It's very beneficial for me, at least. You mentioned something about consecutive. I don't know if you said it with those words, but you were talking about how you can record yourself, and then, or record, I'm sorry, a speech, so you can then interpret it simultaneously while you're hearing. This is something that Mark Orlando, from one of your guests that you had in your summit, talked about. Tell us a little bit about what he said, because I remember that he was mentioning something about the technology changing right now, and it used to be a little more user-friendly. We're not going to get so much into that, but I would like to inform people about what is out there for simulconsec.
SimConsec. It's actually had a lot of names, but most people have settled on SimConsec now.
Okay.
So SimConsec is a technique where you record the original speech, you take notes or not, and then the technology that you've been using to record allows you to replay the speech in some headphones you've got, probably smaller than these ones because it would be in a consecutive setting, right? Maybe you're in a court that allows you to do this, of course. Maybe you're at, I don't know, a press conference or something. So you're not going to use big bulky ones. You're going to use small headphones. And then you hit the play button afterwards. And instead of working consecutively, where you might, it's long consec, you might lose a lot of stuff. You are working from a recording. So you're much more likely to get tons of it. Not only that, but you can take notes as you're going along about, the acronyms or the key terms, then click on them to go back and listen real quick if you need. If there's one thing you weren't quite sure about, and you want to have a quick listen right before you go, or maybe you're going to ask a question and you just want to listen very quickly before you have to interpret. I mean, it takes practice because you only get 3 or 5 seconds here before you have to start interpreting. But it is possible to just click on it, listen back to one thing, and then go right back to the beginning and start. And you can even speed up or slow down. You can use these sort of clicks to jump to a different place in your notes. If somebody said the same thing twice, you don't need to say it twice. I mean, that's redundant, unless obviously there are some cases, if you're working in a courtroom, it may be different. But in some cases, you really don't need to say it twice, and you're working consecutive. You're trying to slim it down and just get to the gist of it. Helps you to skip around. So that is a very, very, very brief introduction to SimConsec. If you want to know more, you can, of course, check out Mark's piece in the Innovation in Interpreting Summit replays. And we also have a free webinar that we did on this in January of this year with 2 of the founders of the technique, which is pretty cool too. We're working on a course on SimConsec. It's not there yet. But in answer to your question, early SimConsec used a special kind of pen called a smart pen. And the smart pen had a built-in camera and a recording device with it. So it would basically, and you use special paper as well. And so you would write on the special paper and it would keep track of it and it could send what was on your paper over to a smartphone or another device for storage purposes, because most of these tools, quite honestly, aren't designed for interpreters or translators. They're just tools that we've found ways to work with. And and then it allowed you to play it back. Nowadays, you can do this with a tablet. And hopefully, well, I've been saying it was coming out for the last couple of months already, but I have so many projects. Hopefully sometime this year, we'll get to this course we're working on SimConsec.
That would be awesome. That would be great. And I just wanted to mention, for those of us who work in the courts or in the positions as freelancers or whatnot, we know that consecutive interpreting can be very tedious. And I think that this technology, if we are allowed to bring it in, would be so much, I mean, not only for interpreters, but also for all the people that we are trying to help communicate, and keeping a straight record and all of those things, it will definitely make a huge difference. So I, again, would suggest that all of you advocate for this kind of technology to be brought into the courts and the depositions and presented to attorneys that you may be working with, because it definitely is super interesting. When I heard that you can turn consecutive into simultaneous, I was like, yes, I am game.
Yes.
Let's do it. What is the best note-taking tablet?
As far as I'm concerned, the iPad wins hands down. I am a real iPad fan. You can take good notes with other tablets, but for many, many reasons, I'm a huge iPad fan. And I know we're coming up on the end of the hour, so I'll just leave it at that very briefly. And I will also turn to Gloria's comment. Yes, the tool that we recommend for SimConsec, for recording and taking notes as you go along on your iPad, is Notability. It's only available on the iPad, but it is a great tool. So it's an app. It's about 10 or 12 bucks. It's not too expensive. Notability, again, it's called. And I love it. I use it all the time. I use it for full day consecutive assignments. Yes, great app.
Yeah, it's very, very famous. So very briefly, you guys on your blog post talked about, I don't know if it was you or Alex who wrote the blog post.
That one was me, although of course we sign everything as the both of us, and we both feed into every post, but usually one of us starts and then the other one chimes in and adds things. And the one you're about to refer to, the 2020 in the rear view mirror, I think that one was mine. So far away.
Well, I just wanted to mention that because there are a lot of items, I guess, that you are describing on how basically to go from beginner to maybe more intermediate technology interpreter. That's what I'm going to call it.
Yeah, sure. So here, let's take a look. Here's my screen. This is the Tech4word blog. We'll just go back a few to the one called 2020 in the rearview mirror. Mm-hmm. And this was this happened over the holidays because there were just so many ideas in my head, and I was thinking about what's coming next and the summit and our new membership that we've launched, which is called the Insiders Community. I'll talk about that in a second, maybe at the very end. And I was just trying to make sense of a whole long year that was packed. And so I described what happened, how we started the year teaching in person, how the pandemic threw us a curveball, and how we decided to hit the curveball. And I think we hit it out of the park, actually. I talk about the webinars, and there's links to all of our different webinars in here. I talk about some of the courses. Let me make this bigger, too, so you can read it properly, that we ran, some live courses we ran early on, and then how we decided to take it to the next level and not only do live teaching, but also create on-demand courses that people could work through at their own pace, like the free courses I showed you before, like our remote interpreting from home course, and like the glossaries course I mentioned, and so on. And so I talked about everything that happened over the course of the year. Obviously, the tablet interpreting manual made an appearance, the YouTube channel, this video I mentioned before about tips you can share with your clients, the community challenge, very cool stuff. And what was coming up for the year, we're chipping away at that. And then I think one thing that you really liked was at the very end, we also had a list of our top fives, right? 5 most popular webinars, 5 most watched videos, free resources of 2020, 5 most read blog posts. And this is a good place to head over there and get some basics, start exploring the fun stuff that we do at Tech4word.
Yes, can you show again what's the name of the blog post? Is 2020 in the rear view mirror?
2020 in the rear view mirror, but if you just look for 2020 on the Tech4word blog, it's only like 3 or 4 ago. So, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Yeah. The one from early January 2021. And then you'll find, which I think you're right, Pamela, that this is a good way to look back on everything that we did over the course of the last year.
Yeah.
Can I take a second to talk about the new project I'm really excited about?
Please.
All right. So let me find it. I've got a million tabs open, as always. The newest thing that we're doing is we realized there was a huge community of people, from beginners to more experienced folks who wanted to learn more about technology. And we said, we love this way of interacting with people, having live events, but also we wanted to do something special for people who really wanted to go a little bit deeper. So we set up this brand new program called Tech4word Insiders. So here's what it looks like, right? Tech4word Insiders. And we've got all sorts of fun stuff in there. So I mentioned that we do free webinars. The webinars are free if you attend live, but if you can't attend live because you've got a busy interpreting schedule or something else going on, then you can get the replays as a member of our Insiders community. We also do another live event every month for the Insiders. This month we did a co-working session. The month before we did a watch party where we looked at one of the videos from the summit, watched it together. It was the one about artificial intelligence, speech recognition, whether we'll have an artificial booth mate. And we just had a long, in-depth discussion about it. We've also got a place where people ask questions, right? Post comments about Sketch Engine, for example, the tool I just showed you. And there's one in there. We've got this new thing coming along called pop-up groups, where people are coming up with topics that they want to explore, right? Speech-to-text tools, and putting together little groups to continue exploring these things together. So I just wanted to say this. I know some of you have discovered Tech4word for the very first time now, but I wanted to mention this newest project. It's really cool, and at the moment, it's also very inexpensive. Because we're still in a beta phase, we're slowly scaling up to the full price, which will be $20 a month, $19.99. And basically at the end of every month, it goes up by €2. So if this sounds like it might be interesting to you, if you want to sort of take a peek, it's only $11.99 a month. You lock in that price if you get there before the end of April, so before Friday. But anyways, obviously no obligations. We've got lots of free stuff, lots of paid stuff, lots of ways to learn with us. And I just wanted to tell everyone about this thing that I'm really excited about, because the conversations are great. The people in this community are giving us ideas for what we might want to cover next. In fact, the Audacity for Interpreters webinar was the insiders voted for what they wanted the next webinar to be, and boom, there it is. That's what we're doing. The one after that they also picked is about learning conference webinar, conference terminology, using technology. So yeah, that's my new baby, my new project, and something
wonderful.
that I'm quite passionate about.
Congrats, Josh and Alex.
Thank you.
You guys are doing a magnificent job. I think that you are helping so many of us. And really, that's what I wanted to bring, a little bit of that European technology. We need to step it up. I really feel like we need to step it up many strides ahead because of everything that happened. And this is the best way to do it. You guys have pretty much a step-by-step manual to take us to the next level. And if they sign for this Tech4word Insiders, it's probably going to be, I don't know, I get the feeling that probably some other colleagues are going to be able to take us by the hand and show us, creating a community.
I'm so excited you said that, Pamela, because one of the most rewarding pieces of what we're doing is seeing how an idea can start as a crazy idea in your head and slowly trickle down. I mean, the idea of using a tablet for interpreting was crazy when we started doing this in 2015. I mean, tablets had just come out in 2012, and you weren't supposed to use a stylus, right? Steve Jobs famously said, if they make something like a stylus for it, then shoot me, right? It was designed to be used with your fingers. And slowly but surely, they've evolved and they've caught on, and more colleagues are using them. In fact, the colleague who spoke about using tablets for interpreting in the summit is based in the US. He's a court interpreter, Andrew Belisle. And so he shared some tips about using a tablet for depositions and for consecutive at our summit. And so anyways, all of this to say that it's so exciting to have more and more people being open to exploring technology, because I know it's a big, scary beast, and Yeah, but people are diving in slowly but surely, learning together, and I am really loving it. So thank you to everyone who's been along for the ride.
Yes, I think that they were asking what is your website, and it is techforward.com or TFW .rocks, and then you can find all of the other courses and materials that they have.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Josh, again for accepting the invitation, for showing us all of your work, for sharing with us your future projects as well. There it is. Isabel is sharing it with everyone. Thank you, Isabel. Um, Two announcements that I have really quickly before we close this. The Universidad Autónoma de Hidalgo is having their fair, and I'm going to have way more information coming up. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to share it on Instagram and here on Facebook. So stay tuned for that. And also, the ATA exam is coming up on September 18th here in Houston, hosted by HITA. So check that out if you want to stay informed about any other states opening up for the ATA exam. Go check out the ATA website. And to all the members of HITA, please reach out or keep up with the HITA Facebook page so you can stay up to date in any kind of information that they want to share about the exam. Josh, again, thank you so much. Guys, do not miss the opportunity on getting the replays of the summit, and stay tuned with Josh and Alex from Tech4Word. Follow them on their YouTube channel, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, because they share tons of really good information. See you. Thank you for being here, linguists, again, and see you this Thursday in a new episode. Take care. Bye, everyone.